atria. And if you are referring to just one of them, you call it an atrium. So there's the left atrium and the right atrium. So if what we're doing is we're looking straight at this heart as though it's in a person's chest. Okay, so that's why we look at it, and the left is over here on the right side of the page, and the right is over here on the right side of the page. It's like, wait, this is confusing. It's actually not flipped. It's the way you see a person. So in anatomy and physiology, when you're looking at the front of a person, they're going to name them as according to what it is on that person. So this is the person's left side, right? You'd almost have to turn your body around to figure that out. Like, oh, okay, that's on the left side. So that's the left atrium, left ventricle of the person that heart belongs to. This is the right atrium and right ventricle. And they're kind of divided up into these little sections or chambers. And the blood is both going to be received by these right and left atriums. They are the receiving rooms, basically. So let's look at this a little bit closer on the bottom now. The lower rooms are called ventricles. And there's one ventricle below each atrium. The ventricles are going to be thicker because they have a pumping job to do. So the atriums are the receiving chambers, but the ventricles are the pushing out chambers. You can almost think about this. I don't know if you guys are like this, but in our home, we have some people that love having people come over, and we have some people in our house that like to see them leave. Anybody like that? He's like, yup. So I'm always like the receiver. I'm like, come on in, let's have some fun together, let's eat, whatever. And my husband's like, time to go, bye, bye. And then he pushes everybody out the door, right? And it's not that he's rude, it's part of his job. This is exactly how this works. You have receiving rooms and you have pushing out rooms. And that's exactly what's happening here. The atriums are the receiving rooms. The ventricles are the pushing out rooms. Okay. You like visitors? I like visitors too. Okay, let's look at this little diagram, or the video here with this diagram, and it shows you the different components. But then I'm going to do a little thing when you see my heart labeling. I'm going to do a little thing with some graham crackers, if you guys are up for that. The arteries are carrying what kind of blood, I should say? What do you think? Anna.
Is it carrying oxygenated blood?
Very good. So oxygenated blood is red. Obviously, oxygenated blood is going to be red. So I'm going to put this aside, and we're going to come back to it because we're going to add some arteries and veins to this diagram as we keep going. But this is our heart. I mean, whether you can see it or not, it's a heart. Use your imagination. Okay. And if you looked in your book already, you could see what's coming next. Okay, let's go on. I can get my cursor right. Here we go. So surrounding those, your heart. Move this. Okay, surrounding your heart are several blood vessels. And these blood vessels are all these little tubes coming out. You see all these little tubes? That's a lot of tubes. I have to think about this as in terms of the person. So I'm splitting this heart in half. This is the right side of the body. And then this is the left side of the body. So I know that's confusing, but you think of it, and this is what doctors and nurses have to do in their diagrams. They look at person, they look at the diagram as though it's in the person. So you have to kind of imagine this being in the person's rib cage, seeing their face and their arms and legs, and you're like, okay, that's the front of them. So this is their left, this is their right. All right, here's another way that it's laid out as a diagram. And I'll just tell you guys, if you understand this, you're doing better than most adults. A lot of adults do not know how this works, which is amazing. So maybe you can teach your parents how this works. So remember, the oxygen, the deoxygenated blood comes into the right side from the top and the bottom of your body, right? And that's the top chamber. That's that first top chamber. then it's going to squish from there to this bottom chamber. And that is your right ventricle. From the right ventricle, its job is to then give it a nice little push to the lungs. So it's going to go squish up this way and then shoot two different directions, this way, and then it's going to squish this way. And that's how it gets to the lungs. And your lungs are then doing the job of receiving oxygen, getting rid of carbon dioxide, receiving oxygen. And it does that little circulating happening in the alveoli. Remember those little grape cluster thingies like that we learned about with a couple weeks ago? That's a very bad picture of alveoli, but there we go. Once it gets its oxygen, and this is where we're at right here, the bright red oxygen-rich blood is going to leave the lungs and come back into the heart in this top receiving chamber called the left atrium. So there's 4 vessels that bring it back in to the heart. Isn't that interesting? There's 2 that go out, right, to get to the lungs, but there's 4 that come in from the lungs, 2 on each side. And it travels through those veins that go back into the heart. And then from that, the receiving left atrium is then going to squish that blood into this little room right here called the left ventricle. Now, the left ventricle is like the top dog of the heart. I've never heard anybody call it that, but I'm calling it that because it has to do the biggest push of all the pushes in the heart. And it's like this huge muscle down here. It's a big, thick wall of muscle right down in here. And the reason for that is because it has to push the blood all the way down to your toes, right? All the way up to your brain, to your fingertips, your toes. Oh, no, on it. Well, hang in there. We'll keep going over it. It'll make sense, hopefully, in a little bit here. The left ventricle is going to push that oxygenated blood. It's going to do this big whomp of a push. Now, let me see if I can change my drawing tool. It'll let me. I'm going to push it this way. Oh, no. I want you to change with me. Here we go. Let's see if it disappears. Oh, all right. See if I can do it this way. Okay, now it's going to give the big old push in this candy cane shaped blood vessel called the aorta that goes all the way down your body. Okay, so if you figure out your hand on your heart, you've got this candy cane shaped blood vessel that's humongous that goes out of the top of your heart and curves downward. And on its way, that's why your mom's toes are always cold. That's awesome. On its way down, it's going to shoot up 3 different vessels going up to your brain. So you think about it, your brain is like the first place to get oxygenated blood. How cool is that God would like make it so your brain gets the first? Like, okay, oxygen-rich blood to the brain first, then we'll work on the toes that are freezing. So it goes up to the brain, up to your arms, your upper body is all going this direction. And it's going to continue down, right down your torso, all the way down till it splits off to your legs. And you've got 2 legs with 2 giant vessels going down them. This black thing that I just drew, this big giant black thing, that is how your body is sending out oxygenated blood coming out of your heart. Cool? Does that make sense?